Hey, RhinoCats! It is Miss Mary Louise and Rue here, coming at you this Friday to do a little reading comprehension. Uh, Last week we did a five-finger retell on James and the Giant Peach, and I planned for us to do a little reading and five-finger retell today, but the book that I wanted to read you guys I left at school, so I'm going to save that for next week. But today I decided to read to you guys one of my favorite poems from my favorite one of my favorite poets. So I thought you could just sit back and enjoy a little poetry today to keep the mood light and just enjoy, guys. Today I'm going to be reading from Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. Great poet, great author. He also wrote the book The Giving Tree, which, if you haven't read, it's an incredibly sweet story about the relationship between a tree and a young boy, which sounds weird, but it's a great story. So let's dive into Shel Silverstein. Just to give you guys a little information, Shel Silverstein writes a lot of poetry, and we're going to be reading a poem today, which is basically like a short story that's typically filled or expresses some sort of emotion. So poems are made to make you feel some type of way, whether that is for you to feel love or loved, like a romantic poem or a kind poem, or a funny poem or a scary poem. Or a sad poem, but today we're going to keep it light and we're going to read a silly poem. So without further ado, I will get right into it. I'm going to take this cover off, though, because it gets real floppy. So, Rue, are you ready? She seems ready. This poem is called Sarah Cynthia Stout Would Not Take the Garbage Out. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout. Sarah Cynthia Sylvia Stout would not take the garbage out. She'd scour the pots and scrape the pans, candy the yams and spice the hams, and although her daddy would scream and shout, she simply would not take the garbage out. And so it piled up to the ceilings. Coffee grounds, potato peelings, brown bananas, rotten peas, chunks of sour cottage cheese. It filled the can, it covered the floor, it cracked the window and blocked the floor. With bacon rinds and chicken bones, with bacon rinds, nope, I just read that, and chicken bones, drippy ends of ice cream cones, prune pits, peach pits, orange peel, gloppy glumps of cold oatmeal, pizza crust and withered greens, soggy beans and tangerines, crust of black burned buttered toast, grizzly bits of beefy roast. The garbage rolled on down the hall. It raised the roof. It broke the wall. Here's a picture of the garbage. Greasy napkins, cookie crumbs, globs of gooey bubble gum, cellophane from green bologna, rubbery blubbery macaroni, peanut butter caked and dried, curdled milk and crust of pie, moldy melons, dried up mustard, eggshells mixed with lemon custard, cold French fries and rancid meat, yellow lumps of cream of wheat. At last the garbage reached so high that finally it touched the sky. And all the neighbors moved away, and none of her friends would come to play. And finally Sarah Cynthia Stout said, "Okay, I'll take the garbage out." But then, of course, it was too late. The garbage reached across the state, from New York to the Golden Gate, and there in the garbage she did hate. Poor Sarah met an awful fate that I cannot right now relate. because the hour is much too late, but children remember Sarah Stout and always take the garbage out. And there she is running away from the piles of garbage that have built up because she will not take the garbage out. Ugh. Just a friendly reminder to help out around the house, guys, and take that garbage out so you don't end up like poor Sylvia Stout, who got swallowed up by the garbage. No, I hope you enjoyed that poem. It is very silly, very fun. And obviously, the purpose of that poem is just to entertain you guys. Once again, if you enjoy Shel Silverstein, you can get some of his books of poems or short stories. Also, I'm sure you can go to YouTube and listen to other people, maybe even Shel himself, read some of his poems or stories that way. So feel free to check that out and have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend, you guys.